Prince Philip is effectively retiring. At 95, he's had enough of public life anyway. The palace's handling of this, summonsing a staff from far and wide for an emergency meeting with no explanation as to why, led to a seriously bizarre few hours at this time last night. But it was the end of an era, not the end of a life. Philip and Elizabeth have been married for 70 years this year, and when she became Queen following her father's death in 1952, he became her consort. Opinions of him span a broad gamut. At one end of the spectrum, the Guardian's pretty tough take on him. If he were plain Mr. Philip Windsor, he would be seen as a tiresome old toff. At the other end, praise for the Duke of Edinburgh awards and for a life of public service with a smile, said the Telegraph's headline. The Sun has called him the Duke of Hazard, but seems to regard him as one might regard an elderly uncle given to saying whatever he wants to say. The more serious tributes will come, of course, but few people outside the palace have seen him as often as Arthur Edwards, the Sun's very famous photographer of the royals, 40 years in the job, 7 royal weddings, 4 funerals and 7 royal births. How does he describe Prince Philip?
Well, he's very gruff. He's very abrupt. He doesn't do small talk, and he's been an amazing consort, I suppose. I mean, the thing about Philip, Prince Philip, which I'm always seeing in my pictures, is he's always standing behind the Queen. He's always been there for, almost 70 years now. He's been the consort. I mean, they're 70 years married this year, and that in itself is just a great achievement. But many things, I was with him yesterday at Lord's when he opened the new pavilion. I was photographing the engagement, and as he walked down the steps of Lord's, like one of the a couple of England openers, he was just effortless, no help, didn't have no balustrade. He just walked down there, got on with it briskly, and I was surprised when they made that announcement this morning, because one thing that struck me yesterday, that even though he's 96 next month, he's incredibly fit, a man incredibly fit for his age. He's just unbelievable, which is, I suppose, quite amazing. It's amazing these days to see a man of that age just walking and just carrying on like he has all his life.
Arthur, that was a lovely phrase you used. I was with him yesterday. Are you with him when you take his photo, as you have done so many times over so many years? Really with him? Or does he just tolerate you?
He just tolerates everybody in the media. He knows that you've got a job to do. He's aware of that. But, he's just focused on what he's doing. Like yesterday, he was so happy because he's president of the MCC. And to go and open a new stand wasn't an engagement for him. It was a love. And talking to the old cricketers, Mike Gatting he was talked to, and Angus Fraser, 2 famous English cricketers, and talking and holding different cricket bats. One Everton Weekes batted with at Lord's, and another one David Gower, and he was chatting, and he was very full of knowledge. And I thought this morning, he'll we now be able to go to Lord's got a
Yes.
couple of test matches there this year, and sit there and just enjoy it and not have to worry about anything. Before he'd have to go and shake hands with a visiting team, with the Queen, and it'd be an engagement. But now he can just say, "I'm going to the cricket today, love," and get in the car and go down there. And you know what? Good luck to him.
Yes. Do you think he would say love? I mean, would he say, "I'm going to the cricket today, love"? Would they talk to each other?
I think he would say
but right behind closed
they're
doors.
very affectionate. Well, I think they're very affectionate towards each other. I mean, it was the last overseas trip they did, which was 2011 to Australia. I remember that last day in Perth, and they were just going through this big. It was the Big Barbie, it was called, and it was the last engagement before they caught the plane home. And there was one picture I took, which he was giving her flowers. He got flowers from a child who'd missed seeing the Queen, and he brought them over to the Queen. And the look she gave him, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, it was just, after all them years, it could still look at someone like that and feel, obviously this warmth pouring across this, in the middle of this huge amount of people. You know, there's just this one tender moment, and you know, he wouldn't think it was that, but it was that, and it was just lovely to see.
Arthur Edwards, 40 years taking photos of the Royals, many trips to New Zealand during that time, of course, with the Sun, speaking to us earlier today.